More now with constitutional scholar, former Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz, and his latest book, The Price of Principle: Why Integrity is Worth the Consequences. While many liberals think Trump should be prosecuted for his actions on January 6th, you believe his speech that day was protected by the First Amendment. Explain that.
Well, I think his speech was wrong. I wish he hadn't given it. I think it was a provocation. Although he used the words peacefully and patriotically, I think he should have understood that there were some who might misunderstand it. But the Brandenburg Principle, the case in the Supreme Court on free speech involving a Nazi Klansman who advocated violence against African Americans, the Supreme Court said that was constitutionally protected. This is even a clearer case.
How about the FBI's recent raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago home and the search for and seizure of classified documents? Was that justified, legal in your opinion?
It was not. They should have persisted on their subpoena. They could have enforced the subpoena in court and made President Trump turn over the 15 or so boxes. But instead, they decided to engage in a very widespread search, which also involved the seizure of not only classified material, but lawyer-client privilege material, executive privilege material, and probably declassified material. So the search was far too broad, especially when a subpoena could have sufficed.
I'm sure that bothers you that they also received those communications with his lawyers. I mean, that's private information.
And the Justice Department says, don't worry, trust us. We set up a team of our own Justice Department lawyers to go through it and see what's privileged. No, imagine what would happen if one of the Justice Department lawyers on the team read a email that said lawyer-client privileged, absolutely privileged, confidential, but it had some really juicy stuff about Trump that would destroy his chance of ever winning the presidency again. Do you think that wouldn't get leaked? Does anybody in the world believe that that would remain confidential? But if these rules continue to be applied with taint teams by the Justice Department, the lawyer-client privilege will be completely disabled.
And your reputation was damaged by some members of the media who accepted as fact sexual allegations made against you. There's no presumption of innocence until proven guilty. So why didn't you get a fair shake from the media?
Well, I don't need a presumption of innocence. I have an absolute proof of innocence. I have the accuser's own lawyer. The accuser has made lie after lie. The accuser has accused George Mitchell, Ed Barak, Bill Richardson, Al Gore, Bill Clinton. He's accused everybody in the world. And the evidence is all to the contrary. I had the former head of the FBI do an analysis, and he concluded that I was right and she was wrong. So I don't want to operate under a presumption of innocence. I am factually, absolutely innocent. I never met the woman, never heard of her, certainly never touched her, certainly never had sex with her. During the relevant time period that I knew Jeffrey Epstein, I've had sex. Wonderful, wonderful woman, my wife. We just celebrated our 36th anniversary.
Well, congratulations on that. And I can't let you go without asking you about the Supreme Court, because I know you opposed the court's decision striking down Roe versus Wade, but you don't think Democrats should respond by packing the court with more left-leaning justices. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm totally opposed to court packing. It would just start a cycle of every time one party controlled, they would pack the court more with their own justices. It will end up with a Supreme Court that would have to meet in Yankee Stadium. There'd be so many justices. I do think that the Supreme Court overreached in the case in which they overruled Roe versus Wade. That issue wasn't really presented to them. The issue was whether or not the Mississippi statute, which precluded abortions after 15 weeks, was unconstitutional. So the Supreme Court could simply have decided that case, as Chief Justice Roberts said they should have, and that was the side that I was on.
So how do you think we get beyond all this, Professor Dershowitz? We're in this era now where you have to join the tribe and be part of the tribe and have the group think, as you mentioned. How do we get beyond that and get back to reasonable dissertation and dialogue and debate?
It's going to be very hard to get back. I was hoping that Biden would do it. I was a strong supporter of Biden because I thought he could help unite the country. He's a compromiser by nature. It hasn't happened. I've been a little disappointed. I'm still going to vote for him again if he runs and is healthy. But nonetheless, I'm disappointed that he hasn't done a better job in uniting the country.
And you're right that most Americans are right in the center. And so we see the shifting of the pendulum. Do you think we're ever going to get back to this?
I hope so. We've been through this before during the McCarthy period, during the anti-Vietnam period, and we've gotten back. This is perhaps the worst that I've ever seen. And the danger is the hard left is so intolerant and so totalitarian in its mindset. And they're the teachers of our future leaders. And so I worry much more about the totalitarian mindset of the hard left than I do about the totalitarian mindset of the hard right, which also exists. Both are wrong, but the left today is more dangerous than the right.
And we could go on and on. I'm sure even talk about what's happening on campus. I know you're concerned about that. But the new book, your 50th, by the way, is The Price of Principle: Why Integrity is Worth the Consequences. Professor Alan Dershowitz, thank you for taking the time to share your insights with us. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.